issues between the DPT and bus division of BIU. I know that there was a press conference held last week to give you an update, and there are some things that have transpired since then that we need to provide you with a further update. We did meet with our members this morning. But before we get to that, let me say that we did have a meeting on Saturday with the minister along with the management team to try to reach an agreement on the impasse that we've reached over this health and safety issue. And certainly, whilst we do appreciate that the company's position is that this is a labor dispute, the BIU has made it clear this is a health and safety issue. Health and safety issues are law, and the employer should not take them for granted, and neither should the employees. But certainly, it's becoming more and more concerning to the BIU, in particular as relates to matters of issues in the workplace that should be given the priority that it should be given, and they are not being given priority. And the reason why I'm describing it to you like that is because this is a health and safety issue. This is not somebody who woke up this morning and decided to ignore the employer or be on the cell phone and they shouldn't be on the cell phone or late for work or whatever. This is a health and safety issue. As of March last year, when Bermuda got shut down, probably shortly after that year, but when we got our first case last year, March, and the public transportation was shut down the third week of March of 2020. And also the public ferries were shut down, the schools were closed, all of the abundance of caution because Bermuda had its first case of the pandemic. And based on that, the government, they acted. The months that ensued, so the country shut down, we saw our cruise ship season shut down for the year. We saw all the airport closed, and that was out of the abundance of caution. So if we now look at 2021, and where Bermuda and the rest of the world finds ourselves in as relates to this pandemic, and whilst we appreciate that we've had the introduction of vaccines that has provided some safety in the workplace environment or for employees, the mere fact that we still have the virus spreading the way that it is because you got another variant out there, it should be very concerning to Bermuda. Certainly very concerning to other countries, but it don't seem like it's that important for Bermuda as it was back in 2020. And the reason why I say it to you is because the minister has accused the BIU of saying that we failed to follow the law, which is 1982 Health and Safety Act, which says that if an employee in the workplace has some concerns about the health and safety, they should file a complaint and wait for the report. Let me just continue to remind everyone, we're in the middle of a pandemic. So we should file a report, wait a day, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks for a response before we decide to have any kind of action. Everyone in Bermuda knows the red tape that you have to go through in government to get things done. The mere fact, Brother Ball, as the president of the division, and Brother Wade, as the vice president, reached out to the acting director, Mr. Packard, and said to him, sir, we have some concerns about health and safety because we've got a number of operators that have been sent to him either because they contracted the virus or they've been in close contact with someone. That was out of the abundance of concern for our members. And we're now being penalized by the minister telling us that we failed to follow the law. We asked for an urgent meeting with management and they turned us down. This is a health and safety issue in the workplace. I want to know about the government today, as of today, talking about they're going to bring a scare labor, do our members work, while our members are protesting health and safety issues, and thinking that that's going to be acceptable to us. Understand the concerns of the public. It's clear. The guidelines makes it very clear to employers, particularly employers and employees, as relates to the concerns about frequently asked questions in the workplace. And that concerns number 6 and number 7. We could talk about them a bit more, but number 6, what if employees refuse to work because they are afraid of contracting COVID-19 in the workplace? That's question number 6. Question number 7 is, can employees be disciplined for a work refusal? This is on the government's website. It's not Christopher, it's not bus division. This is on the government website saying that this is what you should be concerned about. And if an employee reasonably believes that there is a dangerous condition in the workplace, or if their duties present a danger to their health and safety, which is not in hand and not a normal condition, the employee may initiate a work refusal in accordance with Section 7C of the Occupational Health and Safety Act. And that's what the minister said. 7C, initiate a complaint. Wait for the results of that complaint before you decide to do anything. We have at that point in time, it was probably close to 40 or just over 40 people that had been killed as a result of the virus, that had died as a result of the virus. We have over 30 people off the job at DPT, and that time was big. So should we wait for one of our members to die at DPT before we decide to shut the service down? It is very concerning that people in the general public could see that the BIU is being unreasonable and people are doing it. First of all, if they're not concerned about their members' well-being, if they're not concerned about themselves' well-being in the workplace to make sure they've got a safe working environment, then is that supposed to be some kind of, because it's not some kind of, according to, and I'm just quoting something that was said to us by the health and safety officer. This is basically what she says in something to Mr. Todd, basically supporting the management decision because they refuse to acknowledge the fact that there are some issues, health and safety issues at DPT, as relates to protocols. Yes, there has been an increase in COVID cases, but that does not satisfy the notion of intimate danger as we have been coping with the pandemic for 18 months. Well, first of all, we have not had this many people die in a short period of time. We probably had 20 deaths in the last month. I want to say in August, we was at 30, we're now at 50 something. So how could you say it's not an intimate danger at threat right now? We've got rising cases in the workplace at DPT, and we've got additional people dying, and the government, or the minister saying, we should follow the law, file a complaint, wait for an investigation. If Brother Ball as the president and Brother Wade as the vice president suggested to the acting director, let's shut the service down, clean all the depots, clean all the buses, and then we can start back up on Monday morning, which was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They could have came back and said, you know what, we agree. Let's continue the service for today, which was Friday, shut the service down on Saturday, Sunday, and then we start on Monday morning. Why could the not come to that reasonable conclusion as opposed to them saying, you know what, no, they want to dictate, the government and the employer want to dictate all the terms as to when the operation should be shut down and when it should be shut down. We got one case at an employer, whether it's a supermarket, they shut the business down, clean, and then they started back up again. What's the issue? What is the main issue? And the main issue is that they want to make sure that they want to make all decisions, and the workers don't have a right as a health and safety to make these kind of calls. Then I honestly think that industrial relations is going to a new level. That we can't even exercise our legal right under law that says health and safety come at risk. So I refuse to put myself in that game. We did have a meeting today to update our numbers. I can tell you that the members were very concerned about this current situation, particularly as it relates to the issue of the government hiring scale able to do their work while they've got this health and safety issue in front of them. Any questions? Anything? Sure.
So, as a union member, how many sick days do bus operators get? Paid sick days. Are you able to speak about that?
Just need to know what's the intention of the question.
No, because I was just thinking, if work stoppage has happened as a result of an increase in cases and COVID-19 at DPT, wouldn't this be classified as paid sick days for bus operators?
Okay, good question, because I think that, it probably, depending on your use of service, you can get as little as 15 days per year minimum. And if you're a guardian, maybe 10 or 20 years, you can probably get 30, 40 days sick leave. But you also have accumulated sick time. So if somebody's been on the job for 5 years, and if they get 15 days a year, they have 5 days the first year, they have 10 days in accumulation. So I'm more than sure that at least 90%, almost 100% of the operators have got some either current big sick time or accumulated time that can be used for the 2 days or 3 days that we was asked for the workers to be paid, while they were off for the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it was a great question.
And the minister is not looking at that as paid sick days?
No.
Okay.
They're looking at it as no work, no pay. What the government is saying, the policy is, they have a policy, no work, no pay. So appreciate and understand what that policy says. Whilst that policy is a policy that they've had for the past 20, 30, 40, or 50 years in government, under normal circumstances, we understand that policy process. But in the case of health and safety, we're saying there can't be a blanket policy just across the board for any and everything. That no work, no pay should be on a case-by-case basis. If somebody makes a reasonable question as to why they think they should be paid based on they have no work, then they should be paid. I'll give you an example. When the pandemic hit in March of 2020, the operators at DPT were sent in with pay by the government, and most of them were here for 3 months with pay. 3 months before they came back on the job. They were not deducted 1 day's pay. We had, after 6 weeks, we started the partial service at the hospital, but that didn't include all the members. So that means only if you have a little shift to do, you've done your shift at the hospital, and you went back in. So they were off the job for 3 months with pay. And now we're talking about 2 days because of health and safety, and they're saying, we're not paying you, no work, no pay. Why? Because they made the call. Once again, they made the call. BIU is not going to dictate the terms to it. That's what it sounds like. Any further questions?
Yeah, Mr. Ferber.
Sure. Morning.
Just want to clarify, at this point, the union is generally, or is it correct that the union is generally satisfied with the cleaning and hygiene steps that are taken with the buses and the depots for resumption of work?
Well, I can tell you that none of that work took place when the workers went off on the Friday, Saturday, or the Sunday. Apparently, some of that work started on the Tuesday, but it could have been Monday. But I know by the board, as the president was involved with some of that work to making sure that we had some deep cleaning done, and certainly maybe the employer should have took the opportunity to do the deep cleaning on the Saturday and Sunday. I said, look, all this is clean now. We're ready for you to come back on the job, and I'm probably going to issue about pay just for the week.
Is the only outstanding issue right now the question of whether
Pay.
drivers should have been paid or not?
I would say yes.
So has any consideration been given to having that issue referred to mediation or arbitration in order to get it settled in the meantime for the drivers to go back to work? If you think your case is as strong as you obviously believe it is, that would seem to be a reasonable step to take while resuming the service and letting people get back on the buses.
Well, certainly I think that question was asked at the meeting this morning as to, this is going to be in relation to question number 7 about, can an employee be disciplined for the refusal, for work refusal? The last 3-4 words here says that legal counsel should be consulted. So we're actually going to seek legal advice on this issue right now,
Okay,
because we believe that's the avenue we need to take now.
Right. Okay. Do you know when you might get an answer?
Well, all I can tell you is that we had the meeting this morning at 9 o'clock, and I got back here was quarter to 11. I haven't had a chance to reach out to a lawyer to find out whether or not we have legal grounds to stand on, but certainly based on the advice from that member this morning, we thank him for suggesting that. But based on that, that's what we need to do now. No.
Okay, so that would be a possibility.
Absolutely.
You have to take the advice first.
Yes.
To be certain if it makes
Yeah.
sense.
But sorry, you should also be aware that the matter has been referred. The matter has been referred, right? At tribunal.
So it's already been referred to.
They'll get corrected in a minute. I'll tell you why they're corrected.
You say it's been referred to labor dispute.
Well, I got a communication that's sent to Mr. Todd. This is sent to Mr. Todd. Once again, this is sent to Mr. Todd. I want you to make sure you write that down. The communication that we have has been sent to Mr. Roger Todd.
But not to you. Is that the point? But not to the Bermuda Industrial Union. That's the point.
I'm not saying anything. All I'm telling you, I have a document here. This is it. It's sent to Mr. Roger Todd.
Which is a referral to the ministry.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely correct, sir.
You mentioned earlier that, I think 30 staff
Yes.
were already off work
Yes,
because of either testing positive or
Close contact.
because of exposures.
yes.
When is that date applicable? When
Well,
was that?
Well, that would have been, 2 weeks ago now, right? 2 weeks ago, probably, this week coming, this week, maybe 2 weeks. It happened during that week, because basically when Brother Bull and Brother Wade reached out, to the acting director, Mr. Packwood. I know that, the director was due back on the 20th of September, so it had to be the week before that. So it would have been the week of the 13th. The week of the 13th, we was having conversations about, members being put off the job, so it might have been Tuesday the 14th, it could have been Wednesday the 15th, and I think a bunch was sent off the job was Tuesday or Wednesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, meaning the week before last, so that would not be whatever that date was.
That's correct.
And do you have any indication at this point, I know it's difficult when people are not working, but of what that status might be now, or how many people may have it,
At
or,
no point did management ever come to us with the exact numbers.
right?
So they have no idea how many were positive, how many were out in close contact.
Just a
That,
number,
that information was never fully shared with us from management.
that's not something that you've been able to collect.
Not at all.
Okay. Can I ask, and I appreciate that, Mr. Ferguson, you mentioned earlier that obviously vaccinations help to reduce the risk of spread. Do you have any indication of how many drivers are vaccinated, or is that something that you would encourage your members to do in order to ensure their safety?
Well, remember now, I don't want to get into this issue of personal choice. It's still personal choice of the member to decide whether or not they want to be vaccinated or not vaccinated. Certainly, I think that we look at all the data supports that, if you're vaccinated, doesn't mean that you're not going to catch the virus. It means that you're probably going to be maybe, based on whatever percentage of the vaccination you got.
Reduces the risk, I think.
Well, it reduces the risk, but what I'm saying to you is not 100%.
Right.
So if Pfizer says, and this is why I have a conversation with the general public about issues, right? They're saying people are dying from getting vaccinated, right? All I would say to,
Very little evidence of that.
well, that's what I would say is that,
Yeah.
remember now, if it says it's 90%, I would expect 9 people to, I'm just putting it out there, 9 people to die, but if 11 people die, that means the vaccine is not 90%, it's not in the 88, 89%. So it's not under what they said it will be.
Sure. Absolutely. But as a community leader, Mr. Ferguson, would you encourage your members to get vaccinated?
I think that I put out a correspondence months ago that the BIU would encourage its members to get vaccinated, but it's still up to them to make the personal choice, have a conversation with the doctor, talk to the family members, because you want to make sure that, we're keeping each other as safe as we possibly can. But the separation comes when we start treating people who are vaccinated one way, people who are not vaccinated another way. That's where the problem comes. We have to treat everybody the same. As long as we keep everybody the same, this is when we fall off the rails, because we're treating one group like this, another group like that.
But would you agree that it strengthens the union's case in this matter, where you're saying to the employer, you need to keep the buses clean, you need to make sure that the environment is as safe as it can possibly be. And we are doing our part by encouraging our members to get vaccinated in order to keep them safe and also to keep other people who may board the buses.
Well, I think that once we put that correspondence out there, it was sent out to all the divisions. It was sent out months ago when it first started, and it looked like, people were taking up the initiative to get vaccinated. We put out that flyer, probably 6 months ago, 9 months ago. We haven't put another one out since as a follow-up.
But as you say, we're now in a crisis.
Well, we are, and the reason why I say that we are in a crisis, because I'm trying to just wrap my head around the government's position on this issue of no work, no pay because of a health and safety issue. We have over 1,500 people right now that are applications, right? We probably got, and I'm not sure what the actual number is of people that are actually in quarantine, whether the number's 10,000, it's 5,000.
The last number was 10,000, but it would presumably be higher than that now because the number of cases is more or less doubled since.
So you have all this going on, but yet they think that the bus division's position on this issue is kind of like out there in that field. I don't see how the government could even stand where they are and think that where they are, they're in a good space. And accept, and keep saying, well, but what for labor? Stop saying for labor, you're making these, you're bringing a skilled labor to do our members' work, but you're for labor.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you about that. The Progressive Labour Party is a Bermuda Industrial Union and partners in the labour movement now for part of the same family really for decades. I mean, probably upward at this point of 70 or 80 years since the Bermuda Workers Association was first formed.
Mm.
And obviously since the PLP was formed in 1963.
Mhm.
So how does it feel for you to feel like, in terms of a family member seemingly acting, probably worse, I would suggest, than in this sense, that you may feel that they're acting worse than possibly the United Bermuda Party or the One Bermuda Alliance ever did?
So all I would say to you is that whilst we have a difference of opinion right now about certain issues, I think that, BIU is going to stand on what's right, what's just, what's fair.
Do you feel betrayed?
Well, I wouldn't say that we feel betrayed. What I would say to you is I think that the government of the day has to remember who their base is. And I'll just say it like that because I think that kind of like says a lot. That, and if you have decided that we hear what you're saying, or we don't know what you're saying. I mean, we gave the example of, and you just gave the example of the OBA. Premier Duncan used to like to say, we're listening. And we used to say to him, you know what? You're listening, but you're not hearing us. And it's almost like the government right now is kind of like going on the same path. You're listening, but you're really not hearing what we're saying. And all I would ask for the government to do is just press the pause button, and let's have a conversation about how we can fix how the family is not agreeing to what we need to be agreeing to. That's what I
So
would say.
a few weeks ago during the protests about decertification,
Yeah.
you noted that in 2012, one of the reasons that the Progressive Labour Party lost was because turnout at that election was very poor from what you might say was PLP-based supporters. Are you now suggesting that if these kinds of impasses and difficulties continue, that you would not be surprised, shall we say, if the base again failed to turn out, and as a result it potentially cost the Progressive Labour Party an election victory in 2022 or whatever it's going to be?
I'm not suggesting anything. What I'm saying to you, you talk to the public about how they feel about a PLP government. Ask them.
Would you encourage people not to vote?
First of all, I am still a life member of the PLP. Certainly, I intend to vote for the PLP in next election. All I can say to everyone is that first of all, whilst we do have the current leadership, if the current leadership is not listening to the needs of the people, then maybe it's the leadership that we need to have a conversation about, but it's not the party. And I think we make a big mistake when we start penalizing the party for the current MPs. But first of all, there's 30 MPs were elected by people of Bermuda. They were a candidate of the PLP, but they were selected by constituents of that whatever branch, whatever area that was. So I'm representing seat number 1. I need to also pay attention to that. And maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for the voters now to hold the MPs accountable for the way how they behave. Maybe that's what we should be having a conversation about.
I mean, I understand the point about 30 MPs, but if the leadership continued to behave in the way that it has, and if it didn't change when an election comes due, what advice would you then give your members?
What advice did I give my members in 2012? Give my members the advice that the BIU support the labor. We always support, you just said, since 1963, the PLP came out of the labor movement.
Right.
So the advice can't be any different. No, we might encourage our members to go to the poll. We never tell our members 100% are you ought to vote and vote for the PLP. We know people vote for the UEP back in the day. We know members that voted for the OBA, and those things are going to continue to happen. So if we encourage them to go to the polls and vote, and then because we encourage them to vote in 2012, but some of them stayed there. Remember now, that election in 2012 was decided by 14 votes. 14 votes. 10 votes up in seat number 26 or 27. McConnell Park lost by 10 votes, and in St. George's, we lost by 4. They lost by 4 votes. All these 21 people because they lost in the PLPC government 1917 as opposed to the observation on. That's how close that election was. A lot of people don't realize that. You remember? I do too, like yesterday. Yeah, on the board.
So there's no election for party officials at the end of October, but there is next year. If the situation doesn't change between now and then, are you suggesting that perhaps there should be a change in leadership?
I'm very optimistic. What I can say to you is that, you know, the PLP, as of October, let me say as of September 30th, because the election took place October 1st last year, where they was given a 4-year term, a 5-year term. So this week, dynasty week will be 30th. Dynasty 30th.
Yeah, it's coming pretty close.
Yeah. So basically, you know, once they have that year, they got 4 more years before an election's gonna be called, so they got some time.
There's a leadership election within the PLP, not
Yes.
this year, but next year.
Absolutely.
Not a general election.
Not a general.
I have a question.
For me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I just want to piggyback on the no work,
No
no
pay.
pay, and sick pay.
Yeah.
The rising tick of cases in the workplace. Is it customary that the other employees had to go into quarantine for 14 days and there's employees
They'll be
hold
paid.
on to the no work, no pay?
No, they're being paid.
They get paid?
They'll be
Okay, I just want to clarify that.
Those ones are being paid. The ones that are off, that who've been put off the job,
Mhm.
they are receiving the pay.
Okay, for 14 days. Okay,
Yeah.
just want to
Just
clarify.
for one more question. If you'll indulge me.
I'm sorry, like they're trying to let me go.
Yeah.
In all due respect, if it's not related to the DPT and what we're going on now, I would prefer if you refer those other questions at a later date, because this is more important about DPT and what's actually happening right now with the process not being inserted.
And I appreciate it. I would suggest the last questions are related to it, but
Sure.
but this one actually isn't. And if
No, well, if it's not, yeah, I won't bother board and bother me to speak.
Okay. We cannot maybe I can ask you directly.
Sure, you can.
So before we get into any questions, I just want to first and foremost say in regards to what we have right now at DPT, again, a few members were sent in a few weeks ago, on the Wednesday, a large amount between the Wednesday and Thursday. One of those members came back, or was a close contact. That member then got tested, got his results back, and he came back positive. And this goes just to show you the outstanding issue that we have right now at DPT, where members are getting to, okay, like we had the situation last year, go get tested, come back to work. And again, you know, we have to ask that question. Why on such a large base of a company that you have, would you suggest that the member who gets tested, and I'm not saying that it's all members, if you feel sick, management has said, go home. But if you don't feel sick and you got tested, it's okay to come back to work. I mean, the order of respect. If you're not feeling, even if you're feeling well, you're gonna get tested. Don't you think it's in the best interest of the Bermuda public and also the department as a whole, that you're gonna stay off the job until you get your results? That would be, for me, that would be common sense. But it seems like many people feel like that's okay in our management team. And with all due respect, even earlier this year, the minister made it quite clear that we got tested as a whole, because, you know, it was at the last minute, we should be okay to go back to work. And we still feel like right now, with all due respect, members should be waiting for their results before they go back to work. And I Brother Chris alluded to, and I would be one to always say this, right is right and wrong is wrong. Last week I made a few comments in regards to some situations that I was unsure about. And I would like to clarify and confirm what has and has not happened. So for me, one of those was in regards to the government making a stand to close down a restaurant because they had one case. And I'm not sure if that's true or not, but guess what? I can tell you right now that one of our employees right now is in the hospital due to COVID. So this shows that we're mentioning just now. But yet, we're being told that our place is a safe environment to work in. As Brother Chris alluded to just now as well, but Lorraine and I went through the whole process last week, Wednesday, Thursday. The email was sent to Mr. Thacker on Thursday. asking for DPT to be shut down. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, reopen on Monday. We were short notice because we have to wait for government and the government health and safety team to do their assessment and blah, 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 blah. But the board of respect, what got members sitting up in the hospital, members that got COVID, going through the whole entire process, will be lost about 20% of our membership due to COVID alone in a few days. But yeah, you're gonna sit up there and say we should have put emotion involved, we gotta get emotion involved into it. And the other situation was in regards to the BPSU, with all due respect. This is a BIU stand that we have taken, and I made a statement in regards to BPSU, and the stand that they took in regards to a member that was a member of theirs where they got paid. This is a this is a BIU issue. I have no problem standing behind asking the president of who I represent, and I represent the BIU. I don't represent the BPSU, and although whatever their stand is, that's one thing. But as being the BIU president, I stand for my membership. And the membership, even this morning, feel for themselves that what we're doing is the right thing. And I applaud them wholeheartedly. For the past 10 days, we've stood up fighting this, and we're gonna continue to fight this until we get to the end of the result. And if our management team, our government, can see the hurt in our membership and the reason why they're hurting, we are in a bad state in regards to Bermuda. And I just want to say that with all due respect, I love our members. And our members came out in support today and showed that. So we're gonna continue to fight. We're gonna continue to let our membership know that we have their back and their support for what we're fighting for. And we're not gonna back down. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to take this time to apologize to the public. We know it's hard on the public, and for that, we do apologize. But people need to understand, what's really taking place, like what the person, what board is saying. A DPT is hard. We have over 30 out, the numbers of people rising. We have people, we have one of our operators that are in the hospital as we speak. We had a operator that did die from COVID. So all we were asking was for a deep clean, which would have took 2 days, 3 days at best. For people to go get tested and to double up on the cleaning of the buses. It did not have to go this far. It really didn't. And all this could have been done and sorted within a day or two, 3 days at best. It did not have to go this far. So now you don't want to pay the bus operators for being out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And now you're paying scarce labor to run our operation and let people ride for free. And as you know, nothing is ever free, because the taxpayers pay for that. So to the public, the operators do sincerely apologize for what's taking place, but you must understand where our stance is and why we are taking this stance. We do feel your pain, as we will want you to understand and feel our pain and what we're working through. Because it's not easy for us to be out here. People don't realize that most operators work 6 days a week just so they can make a decent wage. We're not getting anything. I get the calls all day and night. Well, the board gets the calls all day and night. When is this thing gonna be over? What does it look like? When can we turn back to work? What will happen if I sign on? We get the calls all day, all night. So it is hard on the operators. It's very hard on the operators. So we want the public to know and understand that, we're not just taking this lightly. And it's not that we just don't want to work. That is not the case. But if we don't stand firm, if we don't stand for something, we're gonna fall for anything. And if we allow the government to do this to us, they're gonna do this next. So please, public, be patient with us. We do understand. We do feel your pain, but we would like for you to understand and feel our pain also.
I just want to say thank you to our Reyes point, to add to that, and to be as sincere as possible. DPT, the bus division, feels your pain. I don't want to just make it seem like it's the operators.
Yes.
By all means, we have our cashiers, we have our maintenance team, we all feel your pain. All of us want to return to work. All we're asking for is for government to be more reasonable and understand our safety and our concerns as we live at this time. So please, by all means, to our maintenance team, to our cashiers, and any other BIU member at DPT, we as a bus division, please ask them to continue to be with us as we get through this time and we go back to our normal service. Thank you.
Any final questions before we conclude?
Yeah, just one more. With regard to the mini buses that have been contracted for this work, are you planning any kind of action or a picket line or anything like that to protest what's happening, or is it the intention to see that service such as it is completed?
Well, whilst I understand, and I think Brother Wade just hit the nail on the head, you got, and Brother Paul also just mentioned, you got operators, staff at DPT, because you also got the mechanic side.
Yeah.
People that have been paid for a week now. But you got people out there now who are taking no work. How do you justify it? Really, how? They took away sightseeing from us in 2017 and gave it to the minibuses. We don't even jump up and down, make a whole lot of noise about it. We fired them, the matter got referred to arbitration, especially so because we had sightseeing coordinators that was being affected by them taking the sightseeing work and giving it to the minibuses. Now you're thinking this doggy dog right now because you don't have a cruise ship season, you don't have any kind of service that you're providing right now. You're not going to jump on the back of operators, or DPT bus division being out of work because of health and safety concerns now, walking in and taking this money. How do you justify that? Oh, if this was in another country, other things would be happening to them, okay? Other things would be happening. This is just morally wrong, okay? It's all wrong. And whilst I appreciate the support that we got from some of the minibus operators, what I would ask the rest of them to do, if this was a health and safety concern in your environment, and you asked the BIU for support, as Brother Wade said, look, if the government's deciding that this is a health and safety issue, that they're going to make this decision. What happens if the next employer comes along and says to the staff, sorry, but I'm not listening to your health and safety concern. What are you going to do then? No, yes, the template, no, you just said the template. That's how you going to deal with workers who don't feel safe coming to work right now. Oh, just follow the protocols, whether it takes a day or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, just follow that. So whilst we understand there's minibuses being out there, I think they've made the point already that we've got a PLP government that actually hires skilled labor to utilize labor work. And that to me cannot be acceptable, okay? Cannot be.
But is there any action you're going to take as a result?
Well, what I can tell you is that we're not going to report, I think I said to the membership, based on speaking with the president, by the board of the weekend, that we're going to have to call a special general council meeting, hopefully sometime tomorrow or Wednesday, to just give them an update as to where we are with the bus division of the BIU. Because I think what the government is taking advantage of and what all the other employers are taking advantage of is right now the unions have the biggest point. What? They know full well we rely on having meetings of our membership to update them on certain issues, and right now we're not allowed to have a membership meeting because they're only allowed to have 20 people in the meeting. They know that. But don't get it wrong here. Don't get it wrong. I would never ask my members to break the law intentionally. But if you push our back up against the wall, and we're not going to come in the streets and protest, and with a mask and do whatever social distance, whatever, we have to do that to support the bus division in the BIU, to make sure the government understands this is a health and safety issue. Then if that's what we have to do, then we may have to consider that.
I mean, you could put 20 people on Washington Street or on Victoria Street or Church Street.
Absolutely correct.
You'd be well within the rights to do that.
Absolutely correct.
Is that something to
Well, we're gonna have a conversation about general counsel, see what the next steps is to support the bus division of the BIU.
If nothing else, is a follow.
Absolutely. Yep. Any further questions? Thank you.
Just one more question.
Sure.
This is concerning, you just spoke about safety and the health and of the workers. A few weeks ago, you guys had a big protest here. Do you have any data that's presented to you that anybody a part of that protest with a large gathering contacted the virus or anything of that to sort of see where it spread? Kind of went. The marine and ports there, you had different divisions of government departments in that protest, and I heard you say everybody, do the proper protocol with the mask wearing and stuff like that. But do you have any data supporting the fact that some of the cases that have been an outbreak could have came from that protest march?
Well, one thing I won't do is to deny whether one or two cases did come from that. Every day when this room talking right now, we walk up to general public, we go in supermarkets, we go into pharmacies, we go into different places of business, and we interact. So, I can't speak, to that directly. All I know that basically what we were told by, I think Ms. Suhail Davison, that the government has stopped this contract tracing, stop. So how do we, and if they're telling me now the employer is now responsible to do the air contract tracing. Interesting.
Yeah. That's all.
Very interesting.
Right.
That's very interesting. I can't say, if out of those 20 or 30 operators that got affected on the 14th, 15th, and 16th of September, did they get it because they came out to a protest on the 30th and 31st of August? Because on that Monday and Tuesday, that's basically what you asked.
Yeah.
My understanding is that when they were here, they were mainly with their members.
Right, okay.
They were mainly amongst their members. They're just gonna be March, all the bus operators were together. And look at when they were outside sitting in the street, they were all together. So it's really like they were mingling with other people. They was out in the open air. So I don't think when we really analyzed that, how much we thought of that would have caused any of the others operators to catch anything, because unless they mingle with all the other members, and to that's my knowledge, they at the march and they stayed all together in the group, in the cluster, if you want to call it that. And when they're sitting out there in the cluster the whole time. Thank you. Cool.